if you just look at his daily schedule, he rises about 4 o'clock in the morning, spends time in prayer, reflects on the homily he will give during the morning mass. No texts, always spontaneous, and spends a good deal of time in prayer. He's a disciplined man, and he's a Jesuit.
His papacy has brought the universal church outwards. In an early interview, he described the church as a field hospital after battle, its role to heal wounds.
I love that image of the field hospital because it's not a soft image. It's not like, oh, everything's fine. On the contrary, if you're dealing with a field hospital, it means you have people who are severely injured. That means people today who are spiritually endangered.
He's not at all afraid of change, and he has a great quote where he says he would prefer a church that was bruised and hurting and dirty because it was out in the streets, rather than one that was unhealthy from staying inside too much, clinging to security. And I think that's a fantastic image. And he talks about, being, imprisoned by rules, that it's better to take a few risks rather than to become a kind of an enclosed, inward-looking community. And I mean, I think that ties in very much with his life, because long before he was Pope, he was taking the church out onto the streets of Argentina and going where people are.
His genius, it seems to me, is in this bold gesture. He's someone that inhabits the public stage in a very provocative way, paying his own bill at the clerical residence after his election as Pope. And that picture, went all over the world. This great figure getting into the little clown car, the little Fiat. I saw it when I was in Washington, and the Pope comes out of the National Cathedral, and there were all these limos and SUVs and big dignitaries getting into them. Then out comes the Pope, and we all laughed, just spontaneously, as the Pope got in this little clown car, embracing the man with a severe disfigurement. The Pope is a genius at that.
In Buenos Aires, Bergoglio was a regular visitor to the slums. As Pope, his gaze extends to the world, and he makes his special focus those who are suffering most.
The first actions that he took, visiting the migrants in Lampedusa, he really signalled a big change, and it's a change that's really challenging. I think especially for people who work in the areas of poverty, it challenges us to think not just about what we do for other people, but how our own lives live the virtue of poverty, how we can change our own lifestyles in order to live more simply, more in tune with nature, and make choices that really put our gospel values into practice.
Pope Francis has remained faithful to the model of church that he helped develop and express in Latin America, a model of leadership based on discernment and dialogue.
One of the great things about Francis is that he's happy with tension. He's a great reformer of church governance. He's introduced the most honest, freewheeling synods that we've ever had, where people can speak freely as long as they listen carefully. And synodality, that's been one of the great features of this pontificate, how to have a church where actually we're able to disagree with each other, but somehow from the tension of our disagreement, something new emerges.
When we went on the Limina visit with the Irish bishops, we were all expecting to be talked to, whereas in fact he gathered us around as a group and allowed us to talk.
Tremendous meeting with him, and he said this is like a game of football. We throw the ball wherever it lands, no seniority, ask any question you like, and if you want to be critical, be critical. And it gave me a lovely model for returning to the diocese, to let all voices be heard.
He has this idea of reform of the church, and the way he wants to do it is get groups together, consult, have open discussion, listen especially to the poor. And this is like a revolution.
I mean, in many ways, what's so striking about Francis is that he totally is the same man that he was. And people will say maybe that's the most astonishing thing about him as Pope, is actually that he is the same man.
Pope Francis continues to dream of an outbound church. As Pope, it is clear that he still wants to follow the Lord out onto the streets. But for him, what counts is doing this together, so as to unleash a revolution of tenderness in the whole world.
Non è debolezza la tenerezza, è fortezza. È la strada della solidarietà, la strada dell'umiltà. Abbiamo bisogno gli uni dagli altri. E perciò, per favore, ricordatevi anche di me con tenerezza, perché svolga il compito che mi è stato affidato per il bene degli altri, di tutti voi, di tutti noi. Grazie.